Gage from Windows TV.
And today we're going to be making kombucha.
Kombucha is produced by fermenting tea with a symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast. It is commonly used for its immune system boosting effect. To make kombucha, you will need a large pot for boiling water for your tea, a gallon-sized jar. In our case, we're using 2. Make sure that everything is sterile. These are sterile in your pot. You'll need a big container full of sugar. You need at least a cup per gallon of water. And then you have the choice of using either tea bags. We use about 4 per batch, or you can use loose leaf tea. And oh yeah, you'll need a SCOBY because that ferments the tea. When handling SCOBYs, you need to make sure your hands are absolutely 100% washed and sanitized, because just for precaution, because the slightest bacteria could, affect them in a very negative way. This is what a SCOBY looks like, and this is where the magic happens.
So you have to make sure that everything that you use and every surface that you're using is sterilized. So I use my all-purpose cleaner, and the recipe is on my blog. It's just basically vinegar and some essential oils and some baking soda and water, but I highly suggest that you look at it in the blog. Don't use bleach or any type of antibacterial heavy soap, because that will kill the good bacteria that you want when you make kombucha. So what Gage is currently doing is sterilizing the jars with our all-purpose cleaner. And you want to make sure, of course, that your jars are sterilized, that the pot that you use is sterilized, the pot that you cook your tea in. And we always sterilize our jars even after we've used them for like months and months and months. So there he is, just sterilizing the jar with hot water and our all-purpose cleaner. So what we have here is a big pot of just plain water from the sink. When you're making one batch of kombucha, you just use 1 gallon of water. If you live in an area where the water is not drinkable, or if the water has heavy amounts of chemicals, do not use that water. You will have to buy it at the store, and in that case we suggest distilled water. So basically I'm just going to turn the stove on high. Once the water boils, I'll show you what's next. So once the water is at a rolling boil, we add 1 cup of raw, unrefined sugar, cane sugar, and then we stir it up. And the reason that we put it into boiling water is so that it does that thing. It dissolves.
It dissolves.
And so after the sugar has dissolved, you turn the water off and you let the boil settle. And then you want to add 4 packets of green tea, or you could use loose green tea, whatever the measurement is for your loose green tea. If you use loose green tea, we highly suggest you go to High Wire in Berkeley if you're in California. Anyways, so you add the tea. To the pot. And then you let that sit for as long as your instructional packet says to let it sit. We let it sit for 8 minutes. And you do not want to over steep it, because that will make your tea very bitter. If you like the bitter taste in your kombucha, then that is just fine, and you go ahead and do that.
So now I'm just taking out the tea bags and letting it cool. It usually takes a few hours to cool completely to where it won't kill your SCOBY. So it's absolutely important that you give it time to cool properly.
So basically, when you want to cool down your tea quicker than you would in the pot can take up to 8 hours to cool. I always put it into my jar, which has been sterilized. And you want to make sure your SCOBY's not in there, because you will kill the SCOBY. The SCOBYs are very intolerant to high amounts of heat. So you just want to add your tea to your jar. And we have big SCOBYs, so we leave a large amount of room for the SCOBY.
Now that the tea is cooled, I'm just going to put some SCOBYs in, and we're going to wrap them up in some cheesecloth. This is some kombucha we've made from the recent batch. Please excuse the misleading information.